Okay, everybody, I'm back. I cannot be silent on this anymore. I have things I need to say about this two-car theory. And yes, I'm sorry I was away for a couple weeks. I have not slept. It is 7:34 a.m. I still have neck pain, and have been not able to sleep. I have not slept all night because of the neck pain, but I need to get back into true crime. And I really, more importantly, want to discuss this two-car theory and the RCMP dismissing the witnesses. Okay, so I know this is going to be a little bit controversial. I know a lot of you think that, and Daniel, sorry, you say things that are contradictory, and I know a lot of people don't believe you. But I have said from the beginning, and I have told the RCMP from the beginning, that I believe that Jack and Lily were kidnapped. I have said it from the get go. I said many things about Jack and Lily that have later come out to be true. Um, and so I just want to set the record straight for the streamers that DT, I think you're great. I know Daniel's been on there. Um, and I have agree with you amongst very few that think that Daniel is not involved in this. And I've said that from the beginning. Do I think Daniel maybe hasn't done some things super great? Yes. Do I think Malaya has done some things that aren't super great? Yes. But the fact remains, since the get go, I said things that have come out now, thanks to Daniel being on YouTube and, talking to a bunch of YouTubers. But the one thing I would really like to set straight with DT, if you're at all watching, or Daniel, or any American true crimer, okay? I was taken a little bit misunderstood, I guess you should say, or I could say, rather, of my criticism wasn't towards DT. It's about Americans that think the RCMP are truthful. Okay. First of all, before you leave, I'm going to get to what I think is truly going on with the two witnesses that heard the car. I want to run this by you. I have not pulled cards because of my pain or channeled to see how valid this theory is, but it's been sitting inside for 2 weeks and I want to get it out. But I also want to just preface the RCMP coming out publicly disputing or claiming that they can't validate the two witnesses. That statement, that article came out just before the courts re-released the redacted documents. And I need people that are American following true crime to not be so naive, please, when it comes to the RCMP in Canada. The RCMP are a politically appointed and paid for, okay, to the liberal government to the point of right now ridiculousness. The RCMP have lost all credibility in Canada. If you're Canadian and you agree, comment below, please. But the RCMP in this country have lost credibility and validity in this country, in Canada, okay, in recent months. If you want to find out more about that, let me know. But when it comes to Canadians and RCMP trusting them, the value of them has gone down dramatically. The commissioner of the RCMP has come out and publicly lied and got caught in it just last week with respect to covering up our past Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau's illegal activities. Okay. They are appointed to follow the leader. Don't forget the legal system in Canada is based on the UK system where we still follow the crown and the queen, and it's written in the laws in Canada. Okay. It is a very, very hierarchical cover who pays your bills, typical RCMP response to get ahead of the news, to cover their own you know what. And I don't believe anything that they are reporting in the media. So please, for the true crimers in the United States, take what they say and what they say with a grain of salt. The only RCMP officer I would agree to talk to at this point in time is no longer on the case and was the one I was working with, which in itself is completely suspicious, in my opinion. So let's get back to my theory. Y'all who have followed me know, and if you're new to the channel, I have been getting visions my entire life, not getting them right now with my neck, and have had premonition dreams and have been volunteering as a psychic medium with the Find Me group since 2018, have located another missing child, and the Find Me group has worked with the RCMP solving cases in the past. So I was dealing with one detective there, or corporal, who is no longer on the case. I have since emailed this new corporal, whoever he is, with no response to my 2 or 3 emails. And I copied the other detective because I believe he was taking most of what I was saying quite seriously because he was responding, moving it up to the channel, and because it was being validated with facts that were coming out. When I saw DT on his live post a video of one of the suspects with his picture, all of the hairs on my body stood up, which they are doing right now. Ooh, right now. I forget his name. Ooh, my whole body is just like, whoa. Okay, there's something there with this man. And Daryl, if you're watching, I really would like to talk to you about this. Daniel, sorry, not Daryl. Daniel. Why did I say Daryl? Daniel. This gentleman, I don't know his name. Wong, is it him? I know you have 2 neighbors that claim that you were moving the car. And I do have to admit, Daniel, as much as I say I have been consistent from the beginning, I did doubt for a little bit based on the evidence of the car. And why I doubted it was because I told the police that before it came out in the news. And then it just seemed with the one neighbor saying the car was coming back and forth from your house that maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong and it was you that took Jack and Lily out of the house. But then I saw DT, your video of this neighbor. And y'all, my hair is standing up on my body again. Whoa, like, whoa. Do y'all remember me describing my vision that I had in my dream of somebody walking into Daniel? I would love to get validation of this if this guy knew Malaya, this neighbor, because whoa, like seriously, something is wrong with this dude. I don't know that he's not the suspect, one of the suspects that needs to be investigated. Derwood is another conversation. Don't trust that guy whatsoever, Derwood. Um, but this guy, the neighbor, Wong, I think his name is. Again, I apologize because I've been out of the loop with the case and I'm not super great with names, but I think his name was Wong. Y'all, I told you all and on the live, and I described the vision that I got, and I told you I told the RCMP that I had a vision of somebody redheaded, heavy, short hair, very stocky, big, wearing construction type boots, slamming into the trailer and confronting Malaya with a past due bill. Now, I took that to mean literally. Now, whether that was literal or there was something going on with this guy that was secretive, but my theory, I really wanted to pull a map up but I'm too tired to deal with that today. Oh, and by the way, I will be going live Friday again, starting Friday, October 31st on Halloween. Hopefully, y'all will be there and not trick or treating. I will be live at 4 p.m. and we're going to talk about this and other things when I figure out what we're going to talk about. But listen to this. Listen to this. First of all, I want to reiterate my point. Do the RCMP believe these witnesses or are they dismissing them? I believe they are preemptively coming out dismissing what they were later redacting, okay, to cover and save themselves. So, because they looked foolish, in my opinion, if there were two neighbors that were witnessing, hearing cars going back and forth, to have redacted that from the first court documents, they weren't they weren't looking so stupid. Then when the media fought to redact the documents that the second set that came out that were unredacted, they kind of looked dumb when that came out. If they hadn't have gotten ahead of the story and saying they were dismissive of these witnesses, they would have looked pretty dumb to all of us. I think that's just my opinion. Now, having said that, I also think that one of the neighbors is possibly the one of the cars. Let me explain. We know that Wong, I think his name, this gentleman, said, I'm pretty sure it's him, that he could see from his home, right? He could see from his home higher up the car going to and from. What if, because he knew now, this is where I would love to fact check. And if anybody knows and you want to correct me, but I am guessing that the guy that was the neighbor that I believe lives just on the other side of them said he was up on Facebook at 1:30 in the morning and heard a car going back and forth. Okay, stick with me. If that is true, and that guy was the first to come forward, and the other guy, this Wong guy that looks like the guy in my vision that stormed into the house, knew there was going to be a neighbor reporting a car. Okay, stick with me. Secondhand reporting of the car coming and going. Okay, so in this case, I'm actually substantiating the RCMP's comments. Just saying, don't trust everything they say because they're the RCMP, please. Okay, they are trying to get ahead of this because they look like they've epically failed, and they have. I'm sorry, they have failed in this case all the way around. Going back to my theory, if Wong lives, Jack and Lily's house is here, okay? The blanket and the railroad by the railroad was here. If Wong's house is here and Jack and Lily's house is here, then we have the other neighbor here, okay? Jack and Lily's other neighbor. Let's just say the other neighbor came forward first and he says, I heard a car going to and from Jack and Lily's house and beyond to Lairg, which is Jen and I were talking about Lairg Cemetery. Okay. So was the blanket planted? Was all that everybody was thinking about? What if that was actually a misstatement by Wong? What if Wong heard the first neighbor was coming out with a statement and thought he would capitalize on that? What if the car that we heard coming back and forth didn't initiate at Jack and Lily's house? Didn't initiate here. In other words, this neighbor, what he was hearing wasn't the car coming from here back here, from here back here. What if what this neighbor heard was Wong's car coming from here to here, from here to here. From here to here. Are y'all following me? Because unless this neighbor at 1:30 on Facebook heard the exact time that the car first started coming and going, he wouldn't be able to tell whether the car was initiated having started from Jack and Lily's location or Wong's location. If the witness that has all of my hairs standing up on edge, the redhead that looks like the vision that I had of the guy storming into the house, is Wong. I don't really know anything about him, but I told the police that the person that I believe was involved, two men, one of them has a criminal past. Wong really gives off that energy that he has a criminal past. Okay? So stick with me. The car that this neighbor hears is just going back and forth here and here, and then it's going beyond to Lairg, beyond to Lairg. Well, how do we know it was this starting point from Jack and Lily's going this way to Lairg, this way to the blanket to Lairg? What if it was Wong right by where the blanket lives, who lives right on the corner by the railroad tracks, almost identically to where the blanket lives? And I said to the RCMP, somebody local knew those kids were playing outside, often and unattended, and had a criminal history and took advantage of an opportunity. And if I'm right, and if it's Wong, that's what I think has happened. That Wong could see what was going on, knew the lights were out, perhaps. Real evidence being taken there to Lairg. Other evidence, the blanket and stuff. I don't know. I haven't gone that far into the theory. But we all assumed that the starting point, myself included, of that car was coming from Jack and Lily's. What if it was Wong going this way instead of Jack and Lily's going this way? Does that make sense? This neighbor wouldn't know the difference unless he started hearing it from the exact time that car first pulled out of Jack and Lily's laneway, if that's the case. I don't trust that guy Wong. There's something about him and his picture that has every freaking hair on my body standing up. And I didn't know what he looked like until DT posted it. So thank you, DT. His picture, and y'all remember who are following me, my description that I gave to the RCMP about that person slamming into the kitchen, slamming the door, and showing Malaya an invoice. I don't know what that's about. And if that is true, Daniel, and that actually happened, I'd love to hear about that if you happen to see this video. But I think I probably just misinterpreted the meaning, I'm guessing at this point, because I have not been able to validate this through readings or channeling or anything with my current neck issues. So let me know what you think. I'm glad to be back, and I will be back live Friday, Halloween, October 31st at 4 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you all there. Love and light.